And we are live with another episode of Copy Talk. Today with my guest and my friend, Dave Baritone.
Yo guys.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Happy New Year guys.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
This is the first podcast of 2020 and we're looking at a really interesting year ahead of us, and I'm going to start off with a podcast with someone that's very close, quite literally. He's my neighbor. He lives about 3 blocks away from me, and we even got even closer last year. His dad is now someone I call Papa, and he's probably watching this. Hi Pa, hi Ma, hi Joy. So okay, let me explain our relationship. All right. So basically, his dad is my sejarah tuition teacher, and he's also now my pastor. So how would you describe our relationship, Dave?
We could say that since you're like that, could be say that you're a spiritual son.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not only that. It's like it makes us brothers as well.
Yeah, give a hug. So if you guys want to see the hug, make sure you go on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
It's a very soulful hug. Alright, so okay. So the topic of this podcast is basically about let's get straight to it. It's basically your starter.
Yeah.
Right? And for the longest time, okay, I always thought that David was a really, really shy guy. And is very reserved. But that couldn't be anything further than the truth. In fact, it's quite the opposite, man. So this year, last year, basically, I really got to know him, and I got to find out that he was the what was your position in uni?
President of a society.
Yeah, society.
The starter there already going on.
Yeah, it's all right, man. That's what makes this one of a kind podcast, man. Okay,
yes.
So like, okay, you assume that when someone stutters, he's very shy, he's very reserved, and being a leader, a student leader for that fact, or leader for anything, is something that is a far cry. So when I first heard that he was a student council president, or basically like a president for a society, I was really surprised, man. Because like, okay, I have this vivid memory of me in primary school when I was a kid, and I basically was called on to, in front of the class to basically answer something. I forgot what subject it was, like biology or something. I know biology. We don't study biology in standard 1.
What were you studying at standard 1, bro? Huh?
Alright, so when I was a kid, I still remember like, okay, there's this time I was called in front and I was supposed to give an answer, to the class, and I just couldn't answer. And I remember like there's something akin to maybe stuttering. It was me fumbling with my words, and I couldn't figure out what to say. And I remember the whole class just looking at me, and people started to like laugh and giggle behind, that feeling,
Start to see the eyes looking at you, and everything just goes in slow-mo.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh no,
Yeah.
oh no, they're looking at me, oh no.
It's a really really horrible feeling, and you feel so dumb, and
true.
if the teacher ever call you again, it's gonna be like a phobia kind of thing,
Don't call me, please. Like you try to hide, right?
Yeah, I know. Please don't call me. The teacher point. Wow, you're hiding your head like this, right? All right. Yeah. Anyways, and that feeling for you maybe will be per se. Tell me from your perspective, how was it like having stutters?
Yeah. Like I did go through like the same experience you have actually, but I am not sure because it happened a lot of times till I just accepted that people are going to laugh at you no matter how well you speak. If it's not your stutter, it could be your accent.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not your accent, it could be certain ways of saying, how you say, a certain way of saying things. They're going to go after you, so might as well just say it. Yeah. So, and then some, of course, they still do. I can still hear like small people like okay, this guy is already starting to stutter. Yeah. But then I just choose to ignore that and just convey what I want to convey.
Right. So like, okay, here's my question. Right. So like, once maybe you like, if you're comfortable with, let's say your people around you, like you go to your college and you basically talk in front of the same crowd every time.
Yeah.
Right. It's much more easier to you to talk to them compared to maybe like a new crowd. Is it like that, or it's the same?
Actually, the reason why I started is not because I engage in with new like surroundings, but I usually started when I want to make a point. Usually, yeah, that's when I started, because I start to think of ways of how to say it the best way I can, and I think while I say. That's how I get stuck. Yeah, but then when I'm just like, with friends and I'm just like want to joke around, I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. So like when you really want to make a point,
Mm-hmm.
now like so that's when you start. That's like so you're not nervous per se.
In a way, yes. I think so. Maybe I'm more anxious.
Anxious, right? Alright. So, but one thing I noticed, like, okay, so we go to the same church, of course, and I noticed that when you sing, that stutter is like totally gone.
Of course, dude. Like you,
Yeah.
when you sing it, there's no cut in between. You just sing. So
You don't have to think, is it?
no, I don't have to think actually.
Yeah.
Because the words are already there, so you just.
So technically speaking, if you were to pre-rehearse
Mm-hmm.
a speech,
Yeah.
you wouldn't stutter.
Oh, I would stutter.
Huh? you say you have to make a point.
Yeah, but then it's also like come to do with it's not only the speech, it's like the whole like from where you are,
Mm-hmm.
like so you already got the speech done,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now you have to look at those which are looking at you, and now you're looking at them and they're looking at you, like they're looking like, what are you going to say, what are you trying to say? And that's when you start to think like, what am I trying to say? And then that's I get stuck in that kind of area also.
I see.
Yeah.
So like it has gotten better over the years, or is this pretty much the same?
There were times where I really couldn't finish like a sentence. Yeah, that I really couldn't.
How old were you that time?
I think when I was maybe 14, 15. Yeah, around there.
Okay. So then it got better. How did it got better?
It actually got better through, I don't know. I think so when I started to go to college actually. Yeah.
College. Oh.
Yeah, when I started to actually, because if all those who have gone to college, you are required to attend presentations. So you are required to go up and speak, regardless of your stutter. And of course, before every thing which I'm going to do, I have to say, excuse me, guys, I have a stutter. I'm sorry if I take extra time, and then I will just start. Yeah, that's how I do it.
Okay. So like, in your perspective, right? Do you think that you would ever like perfectly have no stutter anymore, like cure it?
Yeah, I think so, because apparently a lot of people I know, a lot of people that we know, have actually cured. Not say cured. They see, they still get stuck at times, but then they have found a way to actually hide it. So they appear confident. Do you know that James Earl Jones actually started?
Who's James Earl Jones? Isn't he a musician or something?
No. The voice of
Voice of Darth Vader.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No.
He has a stutter.
Really, like,
Yeah,
and then he cured as he got older or something.
Actually, no. It was during an interview where he said that he doesn't really want to speak, and then the person who interviewed him said, "Why don't you want to speak?" And then he said, "I have a stutter." And then only after he said that, I actually start to actually see that he had a stutter. But his stutter is not that bad.
It's a mouse. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, there are different degrees of stuttering, is it?
Yes, of course, there are different degrees of stuttering.
Well, what would you consider your stuttering?
For me,
How do you rank it?
Okay, like for there are some they actually repeat certain how you say, certain
Words.
Yeah, certain words.
Right.
So like, let's say when you I'm going to the doctors. Some will say I'm going to the doctors, and some will actually drag the proctor and go door or
Mm.
so there are different kinds, and some they just they don't get their breathing correctly and they just get stuck. Like for me, I can't correct my how I breathe and speak at the same time, so I
okay.
lose my breath while I speak, which is not supposed to do lah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, because it's a very scary thing.
So like, what's the worst, in your opinion, what's the worst form of stuttering?
Worst form of stuttering, I think so. The one where they just stuck, just get stuck and keep on repeating it. Just keep on repeating it, and then like when you stop and you start again and you still stutter.
Oh.
And you just keep on, just keep on making your point.
Yeah, like okay, like yours is like, it's just a notch below that lah, I guess.
In a way.
In a way lah.
But then also, actually also another person who has a big stutter was my dad, actually.
Yeah, you would never
Your
expect that.
Pa.
You would never expect that. Like
Mr. Anthony has been in the tuition industry for 33 years. And he had a stutter.
Right.
According to him, this is his words. He said his stutter is a lot worse than me, actually.
Like, so to give you guys some context, okay, you would never imagine when you meet Mr. Anthony for the first time, and when you hear him speak, the man he is today, that he would ever have a stutter before.
True.
Right? He's a role model to me, man. The way he speaks, the confidence that he talks. I mean, like a lot. Like basically, he's your pretty much like, I don't want to say the man's man or something like that. Oh God, you know how to put it, man's man. So like, okay, God's man. That's what we're gonna say. That's what he would say. So okay. Anyways, our pa basically is really like strong-willed person, and it's like a really strong character, and that's why I say you never expect that he has a stutter. So like, if you're telling me that he has a worse stutter than you right now, I think so. You definitely, there's a lot of more than just hope for you, man.
Yeah, true. Even he has also said, if I can go through this and I can actually speak, you can do the same. Don't ever feel like you cannot overcome it. That's what my dad always say, and yeah. So that's what I also would like.
Man, like that's what I view as look, all of us have our own demons, our own struggles per se.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if it's not something as obvious as a stutter, it could be some other psychological problem that we don't know. It could be even worse, right? But what I'm saying is that somehow or other, like whether you believe in God, like we do, we believe in God, or the universe, God has always given us like a challenge to overcome, and it's up to us whether we're going to overcome it. It's never going to be easy, but once you overcome it, then you see the reason why you had to go through it. I've said this 1,000 times. Like you cannot connect the dots moving forward. You only can connect the dots moving backwards to see like why I had to go through this. So my point of view is like, dude, one day if you can get over this stutter,
there must be a reason.
There must be a reason. One day, who knows where you see Dave Anthony, motivational speaker, curer of stutterers.
I spoke about this actually earlier, talking to some of my friends. I'm going to be on this.
You're going to be like the next.
On this podcast, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be, some kind of speaker. It's going to be my stepping stone, bro.
Radio DJ. Imagine like if you become a radio DJ with a stutter.
Starting love with the jokes.
You don't need to remix it though. Radio 1. Station 111.
Careful, it's going to get
oh yeah, that's another thing. All right. So
and then there's another way of getting a stutter.
You can actually get a stutter by trying to copy somebody's stutter.
A friend of mine, not to say a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, he actually was making fun of a person who stuttered, and it just got stuck. Like, when you talk about
oh shit.
When you talk about karma, right?
Yeah.
That's karma for you.
Oh yeah, instant karma, man. Okay. Yeah, but we're all light-hearted over here. We've known each other for years. We bust each other's balls all the time. Yeah. So it's nothing, right?
Yeah, sure.
Hush under the table. I give you some money lah. Joking. Okay. So anyways, back again, I'm really sure that you know, being no look the trajectory that you are in right now as being someone that is look, you inspire me, okay, even me,
Oh,
man.
thanks,
Honestly, because why? Look, I mean, like, even the layman, the person that can speak normally, you know, they have trouble going up on stage and speaking to a crowd.
that's very true.
No, even you know, like, imagine that, you know. And Dave has a stutter, but he can go up on stage and one thing about Dave, he's an amazing guitarist, probably one of the best in Ipoh. You know, Aaron, I'm sorry.
Follow me on Instagram, okay?
Dave Baritone.
Dave Baritone. Follow me.
Aaron is probably watching. Aaron is my best friend and also is one of our church members also as well.
He should be on this podcast, man.
He should be on his podcast. Aaron, you're my next target. Alright, so Aaron's like another buff dude that is in our church, like I said, and he's also another amazing guitarist. So, anyways, just to put it in context, like, man, have you ever seen this guy on stage, man, with the guitar, man? He's a total rock star. Total change, you know, like, he touched the guitar, like, suddenly his hair just go explode. Wow. And after, like, got, like, shades in the eyes, all this, already. What's the name of that band, man? Twisted Sisters. Twisted Sisters.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for you guys that don't understand the reference, like, Twisted Sisters is what's that metal band?
Ham. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
metal.
like ham.
Yeah, it's just the
It's
get
just
up.
like this guy is just got.
Yeah, they become drag queens basically.
Actually, when you say like that,
It is,
kind
they're
of
drag
makes
queens.
sense. They
So,
wear like lipstick.
So
and
like,
makeup.
if you ever watch the music video
This was
for,
considered cool back in the 80s.
I know, right? We come a long way, but now I think so. It's not much better either. Look at Takashi 69, man. All the rappers today with the mumble rap.
Each to his own, I guess.
Yeah, anyways. Like back to the Twisted Sister thing. Like, if you ever go watch the Twisted Sister, I'm not gonna take it video. I'm suggest you really go. It's a really good song, honestly. But you know, it's basically this kid is gonna be basically like trying to rebel against his dad and stuff, and then the dad tried to pull out the belt and smack him, and next thing you know, he says, "I wanna rock," and then he turns into this humongous dude that's buff with, you know, like basically a drag queen, and then he's like playing the guitar, and then he sings, "I'm not gonna take it, no, I'm not gonna take it."
What's happening?
What's happening to this podcast, man? All right. So, anyways, okay, Dave, I want to ask you, like, do you have any tips for people? Like, okay, like, I think so. Public speaking is a huge deal for people. You know, they feel a bit shy for going up on stage. How do you, with a stutter, you know, get that confidence? You know, what tips can you give them to basically go up on stage and speak to a crowd of people?
Okay, I think so. There's a number of things I can say, which is you have to really trust in yourself that you are the ones that can. You're the one that can actually say a certain thing the best, actually, more than anyone else. You know, you have to like really put yourself in that kind of state. Yeah, of course you're going to get stuck. You are going to get stuck, but then you just have to just go above that and just keep on going. Yeah, there's a lot of times where this is like a small little tip which I was actually told that when you get stuck on a word, right, don't keep on that word. Stop and start again. Yeah, which actually it kind of works. Yeah, it's like that's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah, I noticed that like even for me, I mean, I do still stutter. I mean, like, there's a little bit of stuttering. I mean, anyone, I think so, that's normal would stutter a bit. Like, sometimes you fumble with your words. I mean, that's not exactly a stutter. I think it's called fumbling with your words. It's like you're trying to think of a word, but you can't really say it, and you're not sure whether it's this word, and you think it's this word, but actually it's not this word. And then you try to say that word, but then you think about, okay, not saying that word.
I'm slow in speaking, I'm just fast in thinking.
Okay? Oh, wow, all the excuses.
I'm a thinker, man.
Yeah, sure.
You see my hair, I'm grey already.
Hey, that's not a good thing, man. So anyways, like, okay, that's the first tip. Any other tips, man, for someone that's going to go up on stage? How about the judgment? Like, I think so a big thing about going up on stage is basically the insecurity that people have.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be judged. How do you feel? How do you deal with that judgment?
I just don't think about it. I think about it after. I don't think about it at that time, because when you think about it at that time, you start to project the bad side of what people think of you, and now you are you're just condemning yourself. Yeah, and then as I don't know as a child of God, right, you don't really condemn yourself. You get convicted, but you don't really condemn. So yeah, so don't really look down on yourself.
True. You know, like that's very true. And look, at the end of the day, you're not going to remember even though if you screw up. You know, if you might fumble your words, everyone might laugh at you. But the next 2 or 3 days, you know, they're not going to remember this man. Look, there's literally Logan Paul, who went to the suicide forest and recorded.
And
Basically,
he thought it was funny.
yeah, you know, recorded dead people in the suicide forest.
My stutter is nothing.
You know, and then, you know, like it got all over the news and all this and all that, and he got famous for the wrong. He was already famous, but this just basically snowballed into something that was horrible, and you know, everyone was talking about it for like a good 1 month, and then you know.
Then it's like
what happened? There's no news already after that. You know,
no
I
longer
said I'm sorry and stuff, and that's about it. You know, so like I doubt that people will ever remember that of you failing to speak in front of. I mean, even if they do, you know, I live by this quote. You know, and the quote is, "Whatever people think of you is none of your business,
Yeah,
be it good or bad."
that's true.
You know, because you know ultimately it's what you think about yourself.
Well, unless they say it straight to your face, lah.
Well, I don't mind, say it straight to my face.
Like, dude, I hate you.
Oh, thank you. That's your opinion. You know, I'm entitled to my opinion. I hate you too.
Yeah, I mean, like, but what you say is true. What other people think of you is none of your business, because it's their thoughts, and you know, you just cannot get into others, you know, in their thoughts, because you don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
might actually think that they respect you for all you know.
Yeah,
They just they don't have a good way of actually expressing
right.
that.
You know what I've learned over the years of you know, basically like, you know, what I do is basically social media. You know, right now I know speaking in front of the camera and stuff. And just to give you an example, all right. I've been progressing in the fitness industry for a long time, and when I first started out, you know, I it's all soft now. I'm fat now. You know, it's still off. Okay, I started to cut down, but you know, that's stop distracting me.
Sorry.
Alright, anyways, back to the story, okay? It's basically a you know, see now I'm starting to stutter.
And I think so stuttering can be a bit contagious actually. Actually, it's true, you know, because when you start to like speak and you speak to a person who stutters, actually, I've met a lot of people who say, "Hey, bro, now because of you, I'm so now actually."
Okay.
Why?
Okay, I mean, like, okay, guys. You guys that are not watching this on YouTube, you won't understand. He basically just touched my bicep and stuff, and then like after I got distracted. Okay, basically, let's not divert from what the main topic is. The main topic right now, what I'm trying to say is, all right. So when I progressed in the fitness industry, when I first started, and I put up pictures of myself, I would say that, you know, yeah, they weren't really nice pictures. I was still skinny and stuff, and people would basically laugh at that. And I mean, deservedly so. You know, I don't blame them. I would laugh at myself if I was that. It's like, I think everyone thinks that I was I want to be a wannabe bodybuilder, someone that's just, you know, doing this, you know, to basically show off, and it's a very cringy thing. You know, I look back at those pictures and maybe I would think that it's cringy too, you know, if it was now. But over time, you know, I didn't give up. I continued doing the same thing. I keep posting my pictures online again and again and again and again. And after a good 5 to 6 years, those very same people that laughed at me, that told me that I was cringy, are now, one of them actually is my best friend, Aaron.
Fired, dude.
Okay, and no, actually, but really, a lot of them came to me later on and said like, "Oh, Jason, wow, how do you basically do this transformation, or how do you build those arms, or how do you build those chest or legs?" You know, yeah, basically. Now, for those that don't know, I was in competitive bodybuilding, so that's why I dedicate a lot of, you know, my life into basically this, you know, building of my physique, and you know. So if you're continuing to do what you're doing, and you know, and you just don't give up, and an attitude that you will always get better, and believing that you will get better, eventually you will turn those haters into followers.
True.
Right. So, is there anything else you want to talk about in regards to basically stuttering?
Okay, the one of the main things why I actually got pushed, not say pushed, I don't know if I pushed or not. I got pushed to the fourth run actually, is because even though those around me didn't stutter, they just were not confident enough in themselves to actually pick up, some things, I've met a lot of my friends, or people which I speak to, where they don't have a single stutter in their speech, but when
Perfect speech.
yeah, they have actually, it's like there's no such thing as a stutter in their speech,
Yeah.
but then when you ask them to go up and speak, they won't speak. However, with me, I just, people tell me to go speak, I refuse to let my stutter to actually hold me back.
And that is why I say this man, okay,
Yeah.
is inspiring to me. He never let it basically drag it down. All of us have our own shackles, and be it our so low self-esteem, our stutters, or some other deep-rooted problem in us. But we have to make sure we break those shackles, those bonds, and basically not let it, affect us. Yeah, in doing the things that we love to do or want to do. And basically speaking, and basically or speaking in public, speaking from the camera, and basically putting yourself out there is something that a lot of people struggle with. And it's not something that I was or he was basically inherently born with that talent to go up and talk. We had to do a little bit over time.
Actually, when he asked me to be on this podcast, right, I was like, in my head, I'm thinking like, what does he want with me?
Yeah.
What does he want the podcast? His thing is like around 45, right?
45 minutes.
45 to an
Yeah.
hour. I'm thinking if I come and speak, it will be 2 hours long.
Hey, maybe it is. I edited it already. Nah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like of all these things, and then there's a part of me which says like, just go for it lah, like because you only have so much time, just go and do it.
Exactly. And
do it.
why I wanted him on this podcast is because he told me he wanted to make his own YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Yeah.
see now that everyone
Yes,
know
that's
already.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So he wants to do his own YouTube channel, and he I think so in his mind is like stuttering is going to be like a hindrance. But
Yeah.
to me, I think so. It's much more simpler to shoot a video and then edit it. You can even make your stutter go away in the video, man. Nobody will know you have a stutter, bro. And basically put the video out there. And maybe this is the first step for you. To basically you see yourself in the video, in the camera, and you recording this.
Yeah.
And I hope that you really basically let this be a platform where you can jump off into basically making your own YouTube channel. And because I think so it's a really something that's great for you to do. And I think so maybe that could be, even a cure for your stutter, who knows? Because if in fact speaking in front of the camera holds its own different point of challenges. I know people that are able to speak in public, but they are unable to speak in front of the camera, right? So that's why I want you to come on board on this podcast, man.
Have you watched the King's Speech?
No, man, I haven't watched it. What's that about?
Okay, it's about King George VI. He was the King of England during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and he had a bad stutter, really bad stutter.
Define. But you mean just now when you mentioned the level of worst stutters?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think so. Maybe before this thing goes on YouTube, maybe you could put a link or what?
Yeah,
any
definitely.
of the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one scene where he just made sounds. That's how bad it was.
Oh.
Like sounds, and he was actually speaking in front of a crowd, like a big crowd.
Right.
Yeah. So and then from there he also went he had his own help. Yeah, and in the end, he actually gave one of the most powerful speeches during World War II,
Right.
which actually gave the people of England hope.
Okay, so you look at that, like, you know, that's like when you we mentioned this earlier. It's like when you overcome like a really huge obstacle, then only you can see the reason, why you have to go through it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's just like essentially it's like a bow and arrow. Sometimes life has to pull you back before it launches you further than you can ever imagine you'll be. So like in that sense, in that movie, he had one of the worst starters, but in the end, that propelled him to give one of the most amazing speech, or like what speech? What you said is not the word to describe the speech.
One of the most hopeful.
Yeah, one of the most hopeful speech in one of the worst times in human history. So I think so. We're pretty much done for this podcast. But before you go, usually when I get my guests on board, I let them promote their stuff, whether they have their own Spotify or they have their own music they want to release, or maybe you want to have a message to your friends and families or something.
Okay, yeah, I think so. I just have something to say. To all those who actually have a starter there, anybody who's actually hearing this, don't let your stutter hinder you from actually speaking, because because to what my dad said and what he said is true. When you stop speaking, when you hinder yourself from speaking, your stutter doesn't get any better.
True.
So just don't hide yourself, because you don't know who you're going to touch, who you're going to actually there's somebody out there who needs your
That's right.
voice.
That's right.
Yeah. So don't hinder yourself even though you have a stutter.
Yeah, that's why, David. Thank you for coming on board and doing this podcast. And you're probably your classmates are looking at this video.
Follow me on Instagram, man. Follow me on Instagram, okay?
How about your
That's the
sister?
main reason why I came here.
What? So it's not for the stuttering kids.
Hey, of course, sometimes kids. Just shoot.
So if essentially all those stuttering kids are basically a catalyst for your followers, lah. Huh?
No.
So you remember this. Alright guys, thank you again for watching another episode of Copy Talk. And again, a Happy New Year to you guys. And make sure you listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jason the Chua, or my Instagram also, and the same handle, Jason the Chua. Alright guys, sayonara.